Good afternoon. See, fortunately, this topic is, I have come to know all of you have heard about haldi or turmeric. Yes. Neem patent also. Yes. So, this presentation, I think we will try to keep it, say, 40 minutes. And it is about, बहुत आवाज कर about this issue of traditional arts. And you will also see that how international system would make apparently very simple thing highly complex. And when nations want to develop, it's very necessary to follow international trends. No doubt about it. Intellectual property and intellectual property administration is important. But it's a very minor part of the development. The major part are two. How a nation develops an innovative capability. How a nation creates an environment so that the people are innovative. That's one. Secondly, how does nation utilizes this competitivity? See, what US has, what their environment is not the environment in India. The US long back thought to create an economic model where they thought that they will create an environment where everybody has an opportunity to become rich. And they have been successful. Now developing countries like India continue to talk about potential, continue to talk about its rich heritage. But somehow or other, we need to be told by other systems that we have a rich heritage. Turmeric was that example. Nobody bothered about India's Ayurveda, Unani and Siddha to that extent as people really got concerned when patent on wound healing property of turmeric was made. Then everybody said, oh, it's our knowledge, how to do it. And in fact that turmeric patent, though is a problem, but it also gave lots of opportunities. And it did create opportunities. It is one example we can share. And today Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha system are far more in use than what they were in India. And probably one of the reasons is turmeric and neem habit. Having said that, now let me begin with you a case. See how systems are, though they are very simple, though in fact achievement would happen if you can see the simplicity. However, most of the time simple things would become very complex. And the art lies to demystify that complexity. And what is an innovator? What is an innovator? I mean, who is capable of doing it? No. See, innovator and a normal person only has one difference. Innovator also see things and everybody else see things. But innovators see things differently. And that differently or difference create it. And then it creates new markets. It creates new economic models. Alright. So this is a case, there is a company, Indian company, known as Avasthajan. It filed a patent application in 3 jurisdictions: US, Europe and India. And patent was on use of jamun, lavang patta, chundan for treatment of diabetes. And this application was filed in 2007. I come to TKDL what it is, but you say there is a mechanism which we created through which we can provide access to Ayurveda in a very structured manner or Unani formulation in 6 international languages: English, French, Japanese, Spanish, German. And the idea is that before a patent is granted on this kind of formulation, examiner is able to see the prior art in his own language on any study. And then in 2009, we have also entered into TKDL Access Non-Disclosure Agreement with several offices on terms of India, US, Europe, Japan, Australia, Canada, etc. And when we saw this patent application, then what we used to do, we also understood the system, the national legislation of each country. Then we found out it is possible to have a ground of opposition before the grant of patent. There is also difference doing after it. And there are mechanisms through which a third party obligation can be filed at no cost. So I have filed that third party obligation against the Indian company, saying that this formulation, n number of them exist in Ayurvedic books, and then submitted the evidence and proof. And India was those days, even today, has been speaking at the loudest pitch against misappropriation or biopiracy at India. What happened? In 2012, European Patent Office denied this patent. Said that this is nothing novel in it, and all this information is already known. There are TKDL evidence, so patent cannot be granted, so they did it. US also did the same. And US, Europe and India Patent Office has the access to TKDL. But Indian Patent Office granted. So I noticed this. Then first I wrote like a normal communication at say my level, a joint secretary or additional secretary. How can you do that? And it looked very odd. India granting it and US and if you are not granted, then it was taken up at the highest level in the everybody agreed. And the Indian law has several provisions because of which this could not have been granted. Section 3 says that traditional knowledge patent cannot be granted. Section 3E, by mere mixing of the components, it cannot be a novelty. There is the Indian Biological Diversity Act. If there is a genetic resource-based patent, approval must be sought. Applicant did not have the approval. Still they granted it. So all this was informed. Third party observation means anybody in any patent office in any country can object to a patent before the grant under their national legislation. There are more or less provisions available to you. Finally, once you raise issues in government and they appear to be sensitive, then the government really takes notice. Then there was a meeting at the level of Commerce and Industry Ministry. he gave 3 decisions, examine this all, whether it's an isolated case or lot more. And this patent was cancelled under a very specialized section, section 66 of the Indian Patent Act, and only once before in the history this section has been invoked. You know, after the grant, it's very difficult to cancel. So that was done. Then I was asked to prepare guidelines, so that basically it was the interpretation where the problem comes. So ultimately you are able to place in front of everybody the mechanism which is unambiguous, then only same outcome will. However, different people will think differently and different outcomes. Then patent examiners were trained by Indian Patent Office, and then the Indian Patent Office system has been established. So what I am trying to say, to assume that you have taken action A, B, C, and you think you will get the outcome what you thought, I don't think it ever happens. That is what the difference between getting a success and not getting a success. So unless you continue to monitor your steps, unless you are continue to review them and take corrective action, to achieve success in a mechanical manner by following certain steps, errors would happen. So that's the example I thought I would share with you. It's a 2012 example.
Can we go to section 66 very deeply?
Basically the government, you know, government, any government of the day finally has ultimate power. The ultimate power is without assigning any reason I assign. That's the power. I will suspend all your human rights. That's the power if the government of the day want to exercise it, or I will not permit you to breathe, or I will introduce ordinance, or I will fine 5,000 rupees or 2,000, anything government. However, democratic governments cannot do things irrationally. So such extreme powers, governments do not want to use. It is this reason, it's only second time it has been used.
What about the first time?
I do recall, but a pharmaceutical patent for a public cause, they revoked. And it happened many, many years before. I think in 60s it happened. So there was a very great public cause because of that they ruled. No. What I am saying, any act government will make, there will be a saving clause. Saving clause is government can take action bypassing everything stated in that. It's possible. So that saving clause, direct or indirect, has to exist in every law because nobody can predict all future. You can predict certain conditions, but how can you predict things what will happen 100 years down the line? The Indian Post and Telegraph Act, which we have been using, something 1800 and odd. So there are certain clauses which you can use in any eventually, and every act would have. Now coming back to the issue, see, basically these are the two systems, and India's strength, apart from this, also lies enormously in the first system, which are known as informal. See, overall or codified traditional knowledge, India and China are few countries where their traditional knowledge has been codified. One of the very rare. However, most of the time it's a community based. The problem with these knowledge systems are that is getting misappropriated. But they can also be a source of enormous wealth creation. Yeah, I can give you some small examples. Thousands of such patents are being taken by large drug multinationals, not only on India's market, global. And each international patent, despite $1,500 fees, actually an international patent after prosecution and everything will easily cost, depending on the jurisdiction, $70,000 to $100,000. Alright. Now, if on India's Ayurveda, multinational were taking 2,000 patents every year, and if Indian Ayurveda is useless, why would anybody spend it? There is a value. And if there is a value, why should Pfizer and Merck has to make money? Why not Indians? That's where the question is. And this is true for most of the development. See, most of the issues, the intellectual property is a very mild view. By the way, when I say this, I am associated with the intellectual property for the I work for many international organizations, including IPR. So I am saying it consciously. Intellectual property is one company with several other companies. And when you talk about national competitiveness, national heritage, all these things matter. Ethical capital, natural capital, social capital, intellectual capital. No. Dr. Pushpen Roy said that 28% resident India. But you know one fact. If you examine all the applications in US and EU filed by US companies and European companies, then you examine the inventors, then you will find in 77% applications to 82% applications, one of the inventors will bear a Indian name. I mean, I would not be able to say whether it's Indian, Pakistani, Bangladesh, because these are same. But Indian sounding name is there 75%. So India may rank poor in the innovation index, but Indians are. Remember.
But sir, what? Indians are not.
See, India may not be ranked very high in the global innovation index. Agree? Because there you see two things. One is filing by residence. Then you divide by population of the country.
Yes.
So, Ethiopia number may be higher than you because the population is very low.
Yes, sir.
Or Burkina Faso.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything is relative, sir.
But at the same time, if you look at the patent application in USPTO and European PTO, more than 75% and less than 85%, you will find one of the inventor name appears to be Indian. It's very difficult to find out whether their nationality is Indian, they are NRI, or they are US citizens. That is difficult. But that study I have carried out. So, yeah. These are the studies which I did submit in government, but UCs cannot authenticate with 100%, so you don't share it. Because the problem is, how do you find out their nationality? It's a big problem. Doing this was simple. So Indians are innovative, there is no doubt about it. And the world also recognizes. Now, when you talk of traditional knowledge, a simple thing which people are using everybody knows, that hue and cry on turmeric. See, ultimately turmeric patent was granted in US. What was the issue? It is in that jurisdiction. stop any Indian. But problem is it is anti-motivation. It's our knowledge, otherwise somebody else is it. But by the patents were taken by Indians. Okay. Now on this issue there are n number of international. There is a convention on biodiversity, 11 and 18. There is Nagoya Protocol. There is the Doha Declaration, Ministerial WTO. There is WRTO, Intergovernmental Committee on Intellectual Property Rights, Traditional Knowledge and Resources. There is the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources. And there is the Indian Biodiversity Act. All these people are trying to chase the resources, most of it, except Goa, which has not been included. And they are trying to chase genetic resources, and then they are trying to set up ABS mechanism, access and benefit sharing. That you access my resource, then you must share with me the benefit. The problem is, the fact is completely different. Despite all the energy of the developing world going into the matter, the fact is completely different. So all these developing countries have been under colonial. They did not only take your Kohinoor, it's a minor. Actually, they took away all our genetic resources. Not only mine. They took from China, Indonesia, Africa, everywhere. And then they have set up large gene banks. Euroseed, Green Global, several. And then all our genetic resources of the world are available. Now tell me, if everything is available in gene banks, why would anybody come to ABS mechanism? So that's why there are no concrete example people or the community making money. Either Biodiversity Act or Nagoya or anything. Well, that exists in gene banks. But still, the God is still kind. If that's fair. I am associated these days with FAO for food and agriculture. I am the senior advisor with the title Strategic Development Global Information System for Plant Genetics. Now I come. See, the Europe, despite having everything of the world genetic resources in their gene banks, and now there are new technologies like genomics, which permits faster plant breeding, creating new varieties. You can create varieties which are drought prone, which do not need water. You can create types which will cure your diabetes instead of causing diabetes. Okay. You can create varieties which are very high yielding, which are disease. But problem is, despite all the technology, they are not able to. Why they are not able to? All these gene banks are cold storage. So they are lying, seeds are lying there 70 years, 60 years. So they are not weather resistant. And they lack farmers' knowledge. And they lack farmers' in seed. So finally, everybody realized, despite everything, you still need to depend on the farmers of East. So, question is, they have understood there, but in our countries, in our region, are we trying to know what all our farmers know? Are we trying to move in this direction? So these are the issues which an evolving nation has to continuously tackle. See, the world is never fair. Marketplace is also not fair.
Yes, sir.
Everybody would work for personal interest or the national?
Yes, sir. I totally agree with you what you said.
But with your enthusiasm, I appreciate that, but I would not make any comment before I finish, because the moment I make a comment, the entire presentation may get distracted. Now let's see go on. See, in 2001, under WTO, there was a ministerial declaration in Doha, which is known as Doha Declaration. It said, under TRIPS, we must establish relationship between CBD and TRIPS, means genetic resources, traditional knowledge and TRIPS, so that patent system also recognizes genetic resources. See, say 15 years, 16 years, 15 years have gone, nothing has happened. Under TRIPS Council, several developing countries made their recommendations, submitted their submissions that patent system should ensure there is a disclosure requirement, people should indicate source of origin, there should be evidence of prior informed consent, patents or traditional knowledge and genetic resources. And these submissions were made by large number of developing countries. But the developed countries came out with a view that there is no evidence that such a misappropriation is taking place in their country. Now there is an intergovernmental committee in WIG established in October 2000. 35 meetings have taken place. They wanted to create a legal binding instrument for protection of traditional knowledge, genetic resources and cultural expression. No outcome has come. So much so that for 1 year this committee was suspended. And now it has been reinitiated. Nobody knows when it will outcome. Neither time is known nor the nature of it. Then on Convention on Biological Diversity and Nagoya Protocol, they came in 2009. So all these mechanisms were discussed, but when it comes to concrete issue of including this in the TRIPS, we know at least in last 60 years. Trying to say, despite all so many instruments, it is the patent system which is important. And patents are not granted in resources, they are granted on the use or on the knowledge. So if somebody can protect traditional knowledge, then it can also protect his genetics. Okay. This slide also says the same thing. So it is the knowledge which is important. So if you know how to protect your knowledge, then you protect your resources. And somebody wants to conserve biodiversity without conserving associated traditional knowledge, then it's like building and maintaining a library without it. No, millions of species exist. Nobody knows how many millions more exist. But it is few of them which traditionally over the years people have used. We utilize either for food or for any other purpose. And the value lies there. So it is the usage, it is the knowledge associated with the resource which is of value. Now, problem with the traditional knowledge in most of the cases is, see, there are two kinds of knowledge systems in tradition. One is the livelihood. Another is the lifestyle. Livelihood means which is an economic value. Lifestyle, the way you live. And there are at least three dimensions. Cultural and value out to community, intergenerational, then older and the relationship with the land. So problem is, and there is a issue of customary laws. So problem is why there are not many individuals or there is only one individual in the world. It is very difficult to touch such projects. Most of the countries where people try to do traditional knowledge projects, in particular community based or oral knowledge, either the person who was doing this project lost his job or his organization got it. Because they are so emotive issues, there will be so much misunderstood, there will be so many doubts created, anybody trying to touch this. So they are not simple. One is the defensive protection, which actually currently TPDA does. Other is the positive. Now utilizing TPDA, India creates many new medicines which are affordable with higher efficacy and contribute in the health for all targets in a very measured manner. Then it is a positive. In defensive, you stop others, but you don't change anything. So root is first you do defensive. Once you are successful in defensive, then people will come and join you. And then you do positive. The problem is that IPR is not existing. Why? IPR in individual rights. In traditional knowledge, because in India's case was developed 2,500 years back, 2,500 BC, 5,000 years back. Their ownership, they have died long time. Then whenever it is community based, then IPR are maximum for limited period. So even copyright, in most of the jurisdiction after the death of authors, maybe for 50 years or 70 years. So because of these factors, whatever the existing law is not active. That's why countries, developing countries want to sue them this legal system. 16 years have gone. Nobody knows how many years will go. Whether such an international framework come or not, nobody, I mean, it's impossible to measure. So let's look at this basmati case. In this case, few claims we got cancelled. APIDA was the organization which dealt with this case. They engage Indian laws in the following form. For cancellation of few claims, 3 claims in the US, they spent in legal fees in last year 95 to 2000, 7.5 crore, means around more than $2 million. 5 crore was given to foreign firm and 2.5 crore was given to India. That is the money was spent when you filed the case internationally. Right? So, when you make so much money payment, naturally there are compensations. And the companies, the MNCs will employ lawyers who are the world best, and they can afford to pay every hour use of their time thousands of dollars. So that international system is not an equal system. No, link is there. Laptop has so much data that it is not opening it. The moment you press, it hangs. No problem. Yeah, these are the several studies which we did time to time. The net outcome is there were around 2,000 cases of Indian bar misappropriation happening at international. See, this turmeric basmati and neem you all know. And I have already told you in case of neem when we fought, we had to spend more than $2 million in the legal fees. In case of a neem, this battle went for 10 years. So this is what the story of neem patent is. 1994 it was granted, it was opposed in 95 and only in 2005 it was given. So it means large amount of money get paid to lawyers. Because that time, see, the questions were two. Is the international patent system really useless that they are granted such? Are they biased? If they are biased, then when we oppose, why did they? They are not biased. Alright?
So they are unaware. So they are unaware.
Absolutely.
Why sir they have such expert searching systems with them, with all the databases?
Okay, very good, very good. Now, you know Unani system of medicine is in which language? Persian, Arabic, Urdu.
Yes sir.
Do you know any of these three languages?
No sir.
You are in India.
So what sir? I know Sanskrit, Hindi.
Let me respond.
Sir, to be an Indian, you should know Hindi and Sanskrit.
अरे मैडम सुन तो लो तो यूएस के पेटेंट ऑफिस में जो एग्जामिनर बैठा है he would be a originally Indian or American or European. It does not matter. Firstly, yes, I am coming to your answer. Firstly, you should have access to those ancient books in Unani system of medicine, where this information is available. Secondly, even if these books are available, you should have the ability to understand. Alright, what is the law? Law is anything printed anywhere in the world is a prior art. And if it is a prior art, no patent can be granted. Alright? Now problem is that the international patent offices do not have this material in physical form. Even if they had, they would not have understood it even in the language. Thirdly, even in 2000, the world was digital. So they would only want to see a database which is digitally. Now question was, how do we make, see, we provided information after grant by calling from this book and by translation and paying huge money to lawyers and fighting for 10 years. And then those patents were cancelled. Now, theoretically, if you can convert all your Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddha book in English or German, Japanese, French in a digital form, make it accessible as like any other database, then this information would become available to the examiner before he grants. Now this information is there, so why should he grant? Now problems are formed. See, these books were written hundreds of thousands of years ago. Today the databases, the international patent system system work on international patent classification. And millions of applications are filed. Every office, in some countries they have less than 50 examiners. In India now there are 600. There was a time there were very few. In even US there are not more than 20,000. So how do you find out in those millions of applications that nothing exists anywhere in the world? So what they do, they have the international patent classification which has 69,000 symbols. The moment you give me one symbol there, number, your area of search gets divided by 69. Understood? So this database also should be integrated with the international patent classification. Now problem is, you want to translate the Ayurvedic book into German. It's a medicinal book. So Ayurveda will define Kina Spora cordicolia as Guruji. So you must have a guide who can understand Guru means Kina Spora cordicolia. Ayurveda will say smallpox is Masurika. So you must have a guy who understands modern medicine and then Ayurveda is in Sanskrit. You have to give in German. So you must have a guy who knows Sanskrit and German. Such a person doesn't exist. If you want to create such a person, you will need 30 years. And you have so much literature, so many thousands of books, hundreds of books. You don't need one guy like this. You need at least 10,000 people. And those 10,000 people on a translation route must work for 50 years. Then only you can convert your 5,000-year-old knowledge. See, the knowledge system which was created for 5,000 years by millions of people, you need at least 10,000 people working for 50 years. And if you follow this method, by the time you set up, everything is gone. Now you solve the problem. Understood? So the challenge was how to achieve this. And how to achieve it in a meaningful manner. In a cost of a few crores. With a team size of 150 or 200. That's it. And then when we did it, what we did, we used the best of the IT, best of the classification tool. The mechanism was created where a person knowing Sanskrit can create 80 pages in 6 different languages, not transliteration. Complete knowledge conversion in one single. So then we could create in fewer times 45 million pages and give it accessible to international systems. See, the international patent system is not willing to recognize or was not willing to recognize all these traditional medicinal systems. See, all traditional medicinal systems, I think I was finishing another thing. All traditional medicinal systems are plant-based. Alright. Now, 69,000 subgroups which international patent classification has, there will be at least 3,000 groups on chemistry, 1,500 on physics. Like that they have divided. On all the medicinal plant of the world, there was only one group. A61K 35 till 2000. Now, it means you did not want the ability to examine traditional medicinal based patent application in your offices. For examining a patent application, you need a guy skilled enough. So they never had any Ayurveda guy or Chinese medicine. Nobody else. You need a classification test. That also we did. So what we did, I presented this case in a committee of expert IPC union in Geneva in 2000. And to convince them that this is an area which you need patents. So a 5-member task force was created. China, India, Japan, Europe, US. I had a privilege to chair that for 3 years. Then we could identify 200 subgroups which are now part of IPC or the research plan. And we have created a similar classification in India, which is very international. Traditional knowledge is similar to IPC, which is 35,000. So that has also been. So India's Ayurveda Unani Siddha today can be examined in a substantive manner at international. So this was achieved with the international consent during those years. This is what the reward is. This is what the advantage it gets. Now this is what TPDA does. See, this is Sanskrit shloka. Nobody in this room sitting here can understand this. So how do we expect a Japanese examiner to understand? Isn't it? So TPDA convert this page like this. On the top is the TKRC, then IPC, Quart is a therapeutic single compound formulation consisting of part of following ingredients. Enosporia cordifolia is a protein which everybody in the world understands. Guruji is a name in Sanskrit, which only Sanskrit knowing by. So we have done that. Madam, अभी बता. Now these are the parts they use this formulation. That it is prepared as a decoction, is useful in the treatment of small cough, masurika, and then these are the books where it is given. Now look at it. See, your ancient. They wrote in 3 lines. All these information, and we call them unstructured because we do not understand it. When we wanted to convert, we needed 3-page video. And now answering your questions, why I am word over known, I created 2 things. I created this PKRC, then I created a software tool. The matrix is there. Where you use PKRC as the abstraction and is equal to. The shloka is broken into those symbols which are language independent. Those are filled in that matrix, and then this pages information is created which is not transliterated in multiple languages. It is not a machine translation, it is a knowledge conversion. Now in Japanese, French, German, Spanish. Alright. So there was a team of 150 people who worked 8-9 years. That's happened. Today we have 0.3 million information on formulation like turmeric. The total cost which India is so far incurred, that too on the salary of the king, is around 16-17 crore, which is even less than fighting 2 basmati pieces. But now it is getting 3 million. 300,000. Not 3. See, everywhere in the world this project initiative has been reported. Every, whether Time, every international newspaper, Indian paper, the Dr. Francis Garu, the current DG, he said in May, he spoke to me in London. Alright. Several countries have visited and want to utilize and create this. So, I mean, n number of